They called me the ugly duckling of the family, the only one who couldn't shine in a world where perfection was everything. I was the silent shadow, the overlooked mistake. But when I walked into that room after years of absence, head held high, no one recognized me. Not a single soul. The transformation wasn't just physical. It was an entire person redefined, forged in the fires of their dismissals. They'll never guess that their very abandonment created the powerful, confident woman I am today. They thought they broke me, but they only ignited the spark. Are you ready to uncover how I turned pain into power and redefined my destiny? If you've ever felt underestimated or cast aside, this is your story too. Hit that subscribe button and join me as I unveil the secrets of my metamorphosis. Don't miss a single moment of this journey. I grew up in a family obsessed with reputation and appearances. My parents, successful in high society, always expected an impeccable image, especially from us, their children. My sister Clara was the epitome of their ideals, beautiful, effortlessly talented, and adored by everyone. And me, I was the complete opposite. A shy, insecure girl with an unremarkable appearance and an unusual, almost rebellious passion for technology. The constant comparisons and the sympathetic, pitying glances from relatives were an inherent part of my daily life, making me feel like an embarrassing burden and a perpetual disappointment. Every unique difference I possessed was either downplayed, dismissed, or worse, openly criticized. I lived in their shadow, convinced I was not enough. This feeling of not being enough, of being constantly dismissed, only intensified as I navigated my school years. But a small flicker of hope, a guiding light, was about to emerge from an unexpected source. School life, if anything, was an amplification of the subtle rejections I faced at home. While Clara effortlessly made friends, excelled in every social setting, and truly shone, I retreated further into my own world, the world of programming and computers. It was a realm where logic reigned, where my intelligence was my superpower, and where I didn't have to pretend to be someone I wasn't. But even there, I faced resistance. My mother, Sarah, often dismissed my burgeoning interest with a dismissive wave of her hand. "No one cares about computers," she'd often say, her voice dripping with thinly veiled condescension. "You should focus on your social skills to truly succeed in life." She saw my passion as a distraction, a frivolous hobby, something that detracted from the perfect image she so desperately wanted for her daughters. My only true sanctuary, my only source of genuine light and acceptance in those early years was the summers I spent with my cherished grandmother, Eleanor. She lived a simpler life, far from the polished facades of my parents' high society. Grandma Eleanor was the only one who truly saw past my unremarkable appearance, past the quiet exterior. She saw my inner worth, my intelligence, my potential. She actively supported my tech passion, listening intently as I rattled off lines of code or explained the intricacies of new software. "Beauty fades, Brianna." She'd tell me, her eyes twinkling with wisdom. "But intelligence, true brilliance that grows, it's something no one can ever take from you." Her words were a balm to my wounded spirit, a quiet rebellion against the constant messages of inadequacy I received elsewhere. The casual dismissal slowly began to morph into outright conflict during my junior year of high school. It started subtly, whispers in the hallways, then escalating to snide comments about my clothes or my quiet demeanor. Soon, the bullying from Amanda's group, a clique my sister Clara was often seen with, spread online. They created anonymous accounts posting photos of me ridiculing my appearance, twisting my quiet nature into something to be mocked. The most painful, the most gut-wrenching part was seeing my own sister's name, Clara's name, among the followers of those hateful accounts. It was a betrayal that cut deeper than any insult. When I finally mustered the courage to confront her, my voice trembling with a mix of hurt and disbelief, Clara just scoffed. Her eyes held a flicker of something I couldn't quite place. Was it amusement? Indifference? "It was just a joke, Brianna," she said, shrugging as if my pain was entirely inconsequential. Then came the words that twisted the knife. "Maybe if you tried harder with your looks, people would treat you differently." It wasn't just a joke to me. It was a public humiliation, a reaffirmation that I was fundamentally flawed in their eyes. The ultimate humiliation, the moment that truly solidified my resolve, occurred at Clara's graduation party. I had spent hours trying to get ready, desperately hoping to fit in, to finally feel like I belonged. I chose an outfit I thought was stylish, even applying makeup, something I rarely did. But as I walked past a cluster of Clara's friends, I overheard mocking comments about my efforts about my outfit, and then Clara's voice, though quieter, was unmistakably distinct. "It's not her fault she got the bad genes." The air drained from my lungs. What was worse, what truly broke something inside me, was when my mother witnessed the entire scene. She saw me standing there frozen, visibly hurt. But instead of defending me, instead of offering even a shred of comfort, she simply smiled, took Clara's arm, and led her away to greet more guests. In that moment, watching my mother prioritize appearances and social grace over her own daughter's pain, a profound, undeniable decision cemented itself within me. I would never, ever be good enough for this family if I remained the person they expected me to be. Something had to change drastically. That crushing realization, that painful clarity, would soon fuel a breakthrough I never saw coming. With that deep, raw pain as my unexpected fuel, I poured every ounce of my energy into academics, especially computer science. It became my refuge, my battlefield, and my silent declaration of independence. My teacher, Mr. Davies, a quiet but observant man, quickly recognized my innate talent. He saw past the shy girl and into the mind that thrived on logic and problem solving. He was the first professional to truly believe in me, constantly encouraging me to apply to top tech universities, pushing me beyond what I thought was possible. When the acceptance letter from a prestigious university in California arrived complete with a partial scholarship, a fragile seed of hope blossomed within me. This was it. This would finally make my parents proud. This was the tangible proof, the external validation that I so desperately craved. I imagined their smiles, their words of congratulations, finally seeing me not as the ugly duckling, but as their accomplished daughter. However, my hopes were brutally dashed at that very family dinner, a scene etched into my memory with chilling clarity. My father David barely glanced at the acceptance letter I nervously handed him. His eyes scanned it for a moment, then he simply stated, "California too far." His voice was flat, devoid of any excitement or pride. My mother, Sarah, ever the pragmatist when it came to my future, immediately emphasized the financial burden. "A partial scholarship," she cut in, her tone sharp, "means we still have to pay a significant amount." Then came the crushing declaration, the casual dismissal that sealed my fate in their eyes. They flatly stated that investing in Clara's law career made more financial sense than sending me across the country for a computer hobby. A hobby. That's all my passion, my talent, my future was to them. The final devastating blow came from my father. He looked directly at me, his eyes cold and unwavering. "You're the ugly duckling of this family," he said, his voice a low, cutting whisper, "and no degree will change that." The room fell silent. It felt like the air had been sucked out, leaving only the ringing echo of his words. I didn't say another word. I couldn't. I left the table, the untouched food, the judging gazes, and locked myself in my room. Tears streamed down my face, hot and furious, a torrent of years of suppressed pain and humiliation. That night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I made a profound, unshakable decision. I would never again beg for their approval. I would build my own worth independent of their definitions. The very next day, as if sensing my despair, Grandma Eleanor called. She had an uncanny ability to know when I needed her most. As I sobbed, pouring out every painful detail of the dinner of my father's cruel words, she listened in silence. The silence stretched a long, thoughtful pause that felt like an eternity. "Pack your bags," she finally said, her voice steady and resolute, cutting through my despair. "Tomorrow be at the bank at noon. I have something for you." The next day, true to her word, she handed me a check. It was for $20,000. She had been saving for years, a secret nest egg. "I always knew you might need an escape fund," she said, her eyes shining with fierce love and conviction. "Go to California, Brianna. Become the person you're truly meant to be. Don't let anyone, especially them, define you. I hugged her tightly, both of us crying, the check crumpled between our hands. I'll pay you back every single cent, Grandma. I promised, my voice thick with emotion. She simply whispered, "Just succeed, sweetheart. That's all the repayment I need." It was the ultimate act of faith, a lifeline thrown by the one person who truly saw me. With Grandma Eleanor's unwavering belief and a single suitcase, I was about to embark on a journey that would redefine everything, facing challenges I couldn't yet imagine, but also forging the path to my true self. 2 days after that pivotal conversation with Grandma Eleanor, I left. I packed a single suitcase and my beat-up laptop. There were no emotional goodbyes, no tearful farewells to my parents or Clara. I didn't even knock on their doors. Instead, I simply left a note on the kitchen counter, my hand shaking slightly as I wrote, "Leaving to become the person you'll regret abandoning." It was a promise to myself, a silent vow that their dismissal wouldn't be my end, but my beginning. The first few months in the new city were an unrelenting test. I was a stranger in a strange land, completely alone, except for the weight of my grandmother's belief and the burning desire to prove everyone wrong. Mornings saw me at a coffee shop scrubbing counters and serving lattes. Evenings were spent waiting tables at a bustling diner, my feet aching by the end of every shift. And weekends, those were for data entry, tedious hours spent staring at a screen, earning just enough to scrape by. All of this, mind you, was on top of a full load of demanding computer science courses. Sleep became a forgotten luxury, a distant dream. There were nights, many nights, when exhaustion and loneliness gnawed at me. I'd lie awake staring at the unfamiliar ceiling, wondering if my father had been right all along, if I truly wasn't capable of making it on my own. Doubt, insidious and persistent, tried to creep in, threatening to drown me in despair. But then, a glimmer of light. My roommates Lisa and Maya became my first true friends. They weren't like anyone I'd ever known. They were kind, supportive, and completely non-judgmental. They witnessed my most difficult moments, the late night studying, the early morning shifts, the quiet tears of frustration. One afternoon, Maya, seeing my struggle, handed me a flyer. It was for a coding competition with a tempting $2,000 prize. My first instinct was skepticism. I was just trying to survive, not win coding contests. But desperation, that raw, primal need to succeed, was stronger than my self-doubt. I locked myself in my room, fueled by cheap coffee and sheer willpower, and worked nonstop for 72 hours. When the results were announced, I stood there stunned. I won third place, pocketing $1,000, which felt like a fortune. But more importantly, I earned something money couldn't buy: recognition. People in the field, respected professionals, saw my talent. One of the judges, Professor Evans, a formidable woman with a sharp mind and an even sharper wit, became my mentor. She saw my potential much like Grandma Eleanor had, but she offered something more: concrete connections. She introduced me to her network in the city's burgeoning tech industry. This led to a summer internship at a small cybersecurity firm. For the first time in my life, I was in an environment where appearance mattered less than what I could create, what problems I could solve. My social circle slowly, organically began to expand. I met real friends, Daniel, Chloe, and Liam, genuine people who never once made me feel insecure about my looks or my background. They valued my mind, my humor, my quirks. The physical changes happened gradually, almost imperceptibly at first. Reduced stress, a healthier diet, even if it was just less ramen, and simply walking everywhere because I couldn't afford bus fare, helped my skin clear up and my body tone up. One day, Maya, with her infectious enthusiasm, convinced me to let her cut my hair. She transformed my frizzy, neglected mess into a stylish bob that perfectly framed my face, bringing out my eyes. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, barely recognizing myself. It wasn't about suddenly becoming conventionally beautiful. It was about something far more profound. Confidence had begun to shine from within, radiating outwards. It was the reflection of a person who was finally finding her footing, her voice. In my third year of college, I met Thomas at a hackathon. He was brilliant, kind, and had this easygoing humor that immediately put me at ease. He was the first person whose presence made my heart flutter for reasons entirely unrelated to anxiety or insecurity. He saw me, truly saw me beyond any physical appearance. "I love the way your mind works," he told me one evening, his eyes earnest. "You see solutions where others only see obstacles." The first time we kissed a quiet, tender moment beneath a canopy of stars, I felt a deep healing, a sense of belonging I didn't even realize I desperately needed. It was like a missing piece of my soul, finally slotting into place. I graduated with highest honors, not just one, but multiple job offers in hand. I had done it. I had transformed from the girl deemed unworthy of investment, the one my family cast aside, into a woman with a bright, limitless future. But even amidst this triumph, one sad piece of news cast a long, painful shadow over my new life. Grandma Eleanor had passed away. I grieved for days, a profound ache in my soul. What hurt almost as much, what twisted the knife of sorrow, was that no one from my immediate family, not my parents, not Clara, thought to contact me. I learned of her passing through a casual social media message from her neighbor. It was the final undeniable proof, if I needed it, that I had truly been erased from my family's narrative, a ghost in their lives. That final devastating realization solidified a turning point, propelling me towards a decision that would not only define my career, but reshape my entire existence. My career officially began at a reputable cybersecurity firm, a place that felt a million miles away from the life I'd left behind. I started as a junior developer, but I was determined to make a difference, to prove that my intellect was my greatest asset. The tech industry, I quickly learned, could also be subtly appearance-focused, though with different criteria. Here, women especially were sometimes judged by how well they fit a certain developer archetype, often quiet, unassuming blending in. My innovative thinking, my willingness to challenge established norms, initially made me a perceived threat to some of my male colleagues. Whispers, eye rolls, and dismissive remarks about my bold ideas were not uncommon. Instead of backing down, instead of shrinking into myself as I once would have, I channeled my grandmother's quiet resilience. I doubled down. I meticulously documented everything, built perfect test cases for every line of code, and let the undeniable results speak for themselves. My work became my shield, my weapon. 6 months in, I identified a critical gaping vulnerability in our flagship product, a flaw that could have led to catastrophic data breaches for our clients. I presented my findings with meticulous detail and a clear, actionable solution. The CTO, Emily Chen, a formidable and highly respected leader in the field, looked at me with new, sharp interest. "Implement it," she said simply, her gaze piercing, "and I want you on the security audit team from now on." That moment, that single sentence, marked a profound turning point. Under Emily's direct mentorship, I didn't just survive. I thrived. She pushed me, challenged me, and helped me see my own potential in ways I never had before. In my second year, I was leading a small, high-performing team, developing entirely new security protocols, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. By my third year, I had been promoted not once but twice, building a solid reputation as a rising star in the tech community. My salary had grown enough to afford a beautiful, comfortable apartment with a stunning ocean view, a stark contrast to the cramped dorm rooms and the constant financial anxieties of my college days. I had achieved a level of professional success that would have once seemed impossible, a life I had carved out for myself. Then, the true breakthrough, the innovation that would change everything, arrived. While working with a major financial services client, I developed a revolutionary new algorithm for predictive threat detection. This wasn't just an improvement on existing systems, it was a fundamental shift. Emily, usually composed, was visibly excited. "Brianna!" she exclaimed, her voice buzzing with energy. "This is a paradigm shift." The company immediately wanted to integrate my algorithm into all their existing products, offering me a substantial bonus and a significantly higher position within the firm. It was everything I had worked for, the golden ticket. But something in me, the same instinct that had pushed me away from my old home, that had driven me to build a new life, knew this was bigger than a single company's product. This algorithm had the potential to truly revolutionize cybersecurity globally. With Emily's reluctant blessing, she understood my vision even if it meant losing me. And Thomas's enthusiastic, unwavering support, I took the biggest risk of my life. I left the company. I left the security of a stable, high-paying job to found my own cybersecurity startup Sentinel Shield, built entirely on my predictive security framework. The early days were absolutely terrifying. My hard-earned savings dwindled rapidly due to legal fees, patent applications, and initial development costs. There were sleepless nights filled with anxiety moments where I questioned my sanity. Thomas, now working as a brilliant UX designer, contributed countless hours sketching interfaces, user flows, and providing moral support that was worth more than gold. He believed in me fiercely, even when I doubted myself. Lisa, my former roommate, introduced me to her cousin, a savvy venture capitalist specializing in tech startups who saw the potential in Sentinel Shield. And Daniel and Liam, my friends from my college study group, joined as my very first employees working for equity when I couldn't yet afford competitive salaries. We were a small, scrappy team fueled by passion and a shared belief in what we were building. This wasn't just a business, it was a testament to what you could achieve when you refused to be limited by others' expectations. That leap of faith, that definitive decision to bet on myself, was the beginning of Sentinel Shield's incredible rise, leading to unexpected encounters and profound personal revelations. Our first major client, a large financial services company tired of constant reactive security measures, came through Professor Evans's network. They were looking for something revolutionary, and Sentinel Shield delivered. Their successful adoption of our platform quickly led to more clients, each new success building our reputation client by client, brick by brick. Within a stunning 18 months, Sentinel Shield had grown from a terrifying idea in my head to a thriving company with 20 dedicated employees and a physical office space that overlooked the city. Tech publications started to take notice, their headlines validating years of struggle and dismissed dreams. The new frontier of cybersecurity, Brianna Miller, is revolutionizing network defense, screamed the headline of a prominent industry magazine. The article featured a professional photo of me looking confident and poised in a tailored blazer standing before a massive wall of monitors, the very picture of the success they never thought I'd achieve. The morning the article hit the newsstands, I received an email from a distant relative, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. The subject line read, "Saw your article in Tech Innovators. Is that really you? Everyone here is talking about it." The word everyone lingered in my mind, a phantom whisper of the past. Did that include my parents who had deemed me unworthy of investment, who saw my passion as a mere hobby? My sister who had stood by, even participated as I was dismissed and ridiculed. I didn't ask. I didn't need to. Instead, I poured all my energy into growing Sentinel Shield, focusing on the future, not the past. Our second funding round closed, valuing the company at an incredible $40 million. My personal growth paralleled my professional success. Therapy became a crucial tool helping me process the deep-seated trauma of my family's relentless rejection. "You built everything from scratch, Brianna, Dr. Hayes," my therapist observed in a session, "but a part of you is still waiting for their approval." It was a stark, uncomfortable truth, but one I needed to hear. Thomas, my partner, became my steadfast anchor, his unwavering support and love a constant reminder of my worth. He truly saw me for who I was, not for what I could do or what others expected. Just 2 weeks after we got engaged, the news of Grandma Eleanor's passing reached me not through a call from my parents or Clara, but via a Facebook message from her neighbor. The final heartbreaking proof that I had been utterly erased from their lives. I broke down in Thomas's arms, grieving not just for Eleanor, but for the family I had never truly had. "Live a life worthy of her belief in you," Thomas gently said, holding me close. "That's the best goodbye." I heeded his words. I established the Eleanor Miller Scholarship Fund for young women pursuing computer science, a legacy of her unwavering faith in me. I had created a family of my choosing comprised of friends and colleagues who valued me for who I was, for my intelligence, my resilience, my heart. I had found my worth not in their eyes, but within myself. But the story wasn't entirely over. There was one last confrontation, a chance to face the past head on and truly claim my peace. Things truly came full circle when I received Clara's wedding invitation. 10 years of silence broken by an embossed card. My first instinct was to throw it away, but something inside me, a quiet strength I'd cultivated, urged me to attend. Not to seek their approval, not to demand an apology, but to confront my own past, to show myself how far I'd come. The true confrontation, however, happened not in a dramatic speech, but subtly in the elegant reception hall. Clara introduced me to her new husband, Marcus, and he politely asked, "Do you know Clara?" I looked him directly in the eye and replied calmly, "Actually, I'm her sister." The simple truth hung in the air, revealing Clara's hidden shame about our family dynamic and how they had treated me. My mother, Sarah, appeared attempting to control the suddenly awkward situation, her smile brittle. But Marcus, sensing the tension, frankly questioned my parents about their abandonment of me, clearly having put pieces together from my simple introduction. It was a moment of public reckoning I never thought I'd witness. And then, as if on cue, Marcus's father William, an incredibly influential figure in the tech industry, approached. His eyes widened in recognition. "Brianna Miller," he said, extending his hand with genuine admiration. "CEO of Sentinel Shield. I've been following your work. Truly revolutionary." The stark contrast between my success and how my own family had judged me was painfully obvious to everyone present. As I prepared to leave, Clara found me, her face a mixture of anger and raw vulnerability. "Couldn't you just let me have this day?" she whispered, her voice laced with accusation. I looked at her no longer with bitterness, but with a quiet understanding. "I came to mend Clara," I gently replied, "but the truth always needs to be revealed." I handed her my business card. "You can call me if you truly want to talk honestly about the past." Those subsequent conversations between Clara and me, slow and sometimes painful, gradually rebuilt the bridge between us. Clara eventually admitted her jealousy of my intelligence and inner strength, a revelation that surprised and saddened me. My parents, however, remained largely entrenched in their old ways, interested only in my success, not the person I had become. I set clear, firm boundaries with them, realizing their approval was no longer something I needed or sought. I solidified Grandma Eleanor's legacy by establishing the Eleanor Miller Fund, dedicated to supporting young women in STEM, ensuring others had the escape fund I was so fortunate to receive. I realized that my worth wasn't dependent on my family's approval or outward appearance. I had built a meaningful life surrounded by people who cherished my true self. The ugly duckling narrative was finally gone. I learned that my worth was always there. I just needed to claim it for myself. What part of Brianna's journey resonated most with you? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about overcoming adversity and finding your true power.